Hello, families, and welcome. Tonight, I'm going to go through a lot of the changes and updates that have happened to the Cub Scout program, the pack, or registration and renewal process, and give you guys some key information that's going to be important for the upcoming year. So, to get right into it, I'm going to start off with our program updates. Now, over the past couple of years, the BSA, now Scouting America, has been working on changes in the Cub Scouting program. There has been a lot of research on what they've done. So these next couple of updates I'm going to give you, I'm actually really excited about because I've been hearing about them for a while. And they really are going to make our program a lot better for all Scouts. Number one, there was a major realignment of all the electives and the adventures and the requirements for each of the Cub Scout dens. And what does that realignment mean? Well, that means each of the themes that exist in the dens right now, so we'll say camping or duty to country, now you will have those same themes across all of the dens. There's an equal number of electives and adventures for each of the kids, but some of the requirements at each of the levels are the same. It truly is now one theme gets built on year over year over year. So if we are working on duty to country in our lion den, when we hit tiger den, we're working on that same principles. We're working on those same themes and building upon what was done last year. When we move on to the wolf den and the bears, we keep building upon those same skills. And it's the same for all of the different themes and adventures throughout the Cub Scout program. There are now 26 different adventures for each den. It's a whole lot to keep track of. This is why things line back up. Very excited for it. It means there's going to be some changes to how we run the program. Number one, it takes some pressure off of our den leaders so that we can actually work together as an entire pack unit and plan out our activities together. It also means if one of our den leaders happens to be absent, we're not begging a parent to step up and run whatever that den leader was planning. All they need to do, if we stay on the same schedule, is just meet up with one of our other dens, and they can still work on those same requirements. Now, the requirements do vary from age level to age level, but the principles remain the same, so they can still progress as they move forward. The other thing this allows is a change to how we run our pack meetings. Now, in addition to offering awards, in addition to having fun, we can actually plan activities as a pack where it earns adventures or electives for all of the scouts that are there. So that is a significant change. I'm really excited about it. Our den leader, Chris Cantasy, really did some amazing digging and working and lining things up for us. And I'll show you on the next slide when we get there. Uh, very thrilled with this one. So that's one of them. The other thing is, like I said, pack meetings will have activities. So we'll actually be earning some of those things during a fun pack meeting. Two of the other bigger changes. Shooting sports and the Bobcat are now earned adventures for each rank. So they actually get a belt loop for each of those. So gone are the days of losing those little pins that went on the shooting sports patch. They don't have to worry about that. We don't have to go replacing it. It's actually a elective for each of the ranks. So they'll get a belt loop for that one. Bobcat used to be its own rank. That is now gone. We actually work on the Bobcat elective. It's a requirement for each of the ranks year over year. So we really do build upon that Scout Scout Law 1 year in and out. And they get a belt loop for that one now, not the blue patch. Now, uniform wise, they can still wear the blue patch if they have it. There's no change, no reason they can need to take it off. But this year they'll actually earn a belt loop for getting it. Next big change is the whittling chip. For those of you that have been around, you'll know the whittling chip was always a great bear claws activity for the bear den in third grade. They earn that right to carry around a pocket knife. Now, the new requirement is they have to re-earn that every year after bear. So Bears, Weeblos, and Arrows, our third, fourth, and fifth graders, are going to have to recertify and retake all that safety training each year. And I think that's actually a good move. It helps keep it fresh in everybody's mind, and it still makes it important for them. So what we're going to do is over the summer, we did this over the summer already, we're going to do it again. We're going to run a class for our returning scouts. So right off the bat, they can walk into our first meeting already having that whittling chip and be able to take it on our first camp out. Again, as long as they're safe and have parental permission and their den leader's permission, we'll still be able to do that. But we're also going to run another class, typically in October, so that all of our new scouts have that same opportunity early in the scout year and can earn that one right away. Now, the last major change actually has to do with our fourth and fifth grade, the Weeblos and Arrow of Light dens. These are now separate programs. If you have been around scouting for a long time, you'll remember there used to be just the Weeblos program for fourth and fifth grade. Then it became Weeblos and Weeblos 2. At the end of Weeblos 2, you earn that Arrow of Light patch. And then we renamed it the Weeblos and Arrow of Light, even though they were working out of the same book, and a lot of the requirements were exactly the same. Those days are gone. Weeblos and Arrow of Light are now two separate programs. So as they progress from Wolf to Bear, Bear to Weeblo, they will also progress from Weeblo to Arrow of Light Den. It is a separate program. They don't work out of the same book anymore. Weeblos is our fourth grade program. Arrow of Light is our fifth grade program. Now, the Arrow of Light was set up to be a transitionary den into the troop. Okay? Now, with the realignment, that has also changed. The Arrow of Light is a full program, so it has a full 26 different activities. There are 6 required and 2 electives they have to complete. Now, the plan is that they'll still be able to complete all this by February when we have our blue and gold so that they can cross over into a troop. And then they'll have time in the spring to work with the troop and meet with them before the summer so they can go on that week-long summer outing with them. That's still the plan. Now, this is the first year this is rolling out, so time frame wise, that may shift a little bit, but from everything I've heard, we should be able to get them through in February and still earn everything. But it is a complete program now. All right, moving on. Here is a sampling of how all these themes line up den over den. Remember I said we actually have things that they'll earn throughout the year and work on year over year, like cycling or swimming. They'll start off in lions, tigers, and still up until Weeblos and Arrow of Light earn that aquanaut or swimming activity award. The other thing is our Pinewood Derby. It used to be a fun thing. It is still going to be very fun, but now they actually do get an award for that one. There actually is a belt loop for running the Derby or regatta. You'll see there's boating in there, and you'll see at the top there, and again, this is only a sampling, but you'll see orientation, outdoors, personal fitness, citizenship, safety and first aid, family reverence. These are the required adventures for every den, and it really builds year over year. So very exciting, lots of good changes. Now, with those changes, there was also a massive change to how our renewals have happened. Every year we've actually had this recharter process we'd have to go through in the fall to collect dues for national from every scout and our leaders, get it collected, notate it, update the online system, turn all that information in, and hopefully everything gets turned in and squared away and we're renewed okay. There has been a massive change on that one. Starting this year, every scout that is registered will be renewing directly with the Central Florida Council themselves. And there go right into the National Council. Okay. The PAC is eliminated from that process entirely. Now that's a very good thing for the PAC because it takes a lot of pressure off the PAC in trying to chase everybody down for those dues and trying to manage the massive amount of paperwork and small issues that would pop up. Okay. Now we're going to get that directly to the council. Now, there are different dates that you're going to have to keep in mind. Okay, and this depends on when you were registered first with the PAC. If you are in the PAC prior to August 1st of last year. So if you were already a scout for a year prior or a couple months prior to that, you are going to have a renewal date of December 31st of this year. I say you, I really mean the scout. That is when your scout's registration expires. And that's on schedule with how things have been set up. That's when our pack would expire unless we turned everything in. So your renewal is going to be December 31st. If you registered after August 1st of last year, so if you registered September 15th, your renewal date is 1 year from the date you registered. If you registered September 15th, your renewal date is September 15th. It's going to make things a little easier. Now, the way things should work and the way this is set up is you are going to get renewal emails 90 days prior to the expiration date, 60 days, 30 days, 15, 10 days, and the day of expiration. And if your scout is not renewed by that time, you should get another one at 10 days after the expiration date. Okay? In the email, it lays out exactly what you need to do to make sure they're paid for. Now, if you log on online, there's a link in there that'll take you right to that page. You need to make sure that your scout is set up to automatically renew and that there's a valid payment method online. If all those are set up, in theory, when the expiration time hits, your scout is automatically renewed and there's nothing you need to do. Now, this does require us making sure that everybody has a current email address set up in scouting.org. If you're not sure, get with one of the leaders to make sure that's updated. Otherwise, you don't get the renewal information and you won't be able to renew your scout and they will expire. Now, let's say something happens and you pass the expiration date and you weren't able to get things fixed. There is a 30-day grace window to where we can get things situated. So if anything happens, let us know right away so we can get that situated. Your dues this year that go directly to National Council is going to be $145. The PAC will never see any of that money. That goes directly to cover registration, some training. It covers programs put on by the council, the district, and some of the awards that are offered out there, as well as the BSA's national insurance policy, the accident insurance that everybody's covered by. Now, as far as the PAC goes, our dues also had to change. Okay? Now, I'll give you a little information. Over the past number of years, we've had almost no changes to our dues. But we've also increased the amount of activities we've done in that same time frame significantly over the number of years we've been here. Unfortunately, that also means we've been actually operating at a deficit year over year over year, which means we were highly dependent upon all of the fundraising efforts that went in popcorn and camp cards and our Christmas wreaths. And it's very frustrating as a parent being pressured into doing that, I know. And as PAC leaders, it was always a anxious moment, making sure we hit these numbers so we could afford to keep doing the things we were doing. We never had a budget set up for our den leaders. So our den leaders were always dependent upon donations from parents and putting things out of pocket. And it just wasn't a great system. Or they were hopefully collecting den dues from each of the scouts. Obviously, all of our expenses for everything has increased over the past few years. The PAC is not exempt from that. Our expenses have gone up significantly as well. But that also means that through all this, we've never actually had a margin for any capital expenditures. So when the trailer took that hit a couple years ago, there was nothing in our bank to cover that. Prior to that, when we had to replace the Derby truck, there was nothing really available to do that. We had to fundraise, but not have the equipment that we needed at the time. So not a good situation to be in. This is why we had to make a massive correction. Our PAC operating expenses, we do cover advertising and recruitment expenses. So we do actually have print materials. We have a nice little booth set up now for our recruitment events. And a lot of that comes from the challenges we've had with recruitment over the past few years. Parent orientation packets need to get printed. We still have to pay for our leaders registrations. That's something that PAC decided to do and continues to decide to do year over year. We have a new trailer. We have insurance on the trailer we have to cover. All the awards and recognitions we give out. We have various office expenses. Obviously, our dens have supplies. We do have camping supplies and equipment things that need to be replaced. But we also have our activities like the Blue and Gold, the Pinewood Derby, scouterships for those families that, sometimes struggle with covering the expenses of being in the pack t-shirts, and obviously food supplies and other things. And this is just a sampling of what we've had to come up with over the past couple of years. Here's a little breakdown by dollar on everything that is covered, and you'll see just for our 50, 60, 70-ish scouts, we're looking at almost $20,000 a year in expenses. It is a significant number. And I'll be honest with you, we've actually been working on this for a few years because prior to this, we really didn't have a good handle on what our true expenses were because fundraising would offset things. We'd get a lot of donations in. It was a very fluid situation. So it took us some time to actually get a baseline and figure out where our money was and where it needed to be. Starting this year, to get the ship right, our scout dues are going to be $360 per scout. Now, I know a lot of you are catching your breath right now. It is a significant change over what we've done in the past. We've actually only, in the past, last year, we're collecting $55 for scouts, which covered practically nothing. Now, what's included with this 360? We made some changes to what that's going to include and create our own program. Obviously, we've got things for our Back to the Pack party at the end of August. We have a holiday party, the Pinewood Derby, graduation campout. Those things don't change. We are covering those expenses. New this year, we are covering Cub Halloween for every scout and one parent. That's registration and your food for the weekend for a scout and a parent. If you're a lion or tiger parent and you'd rather go to that instead of Cub Halloween, we'll cover that one instead. But that's a big one right there. And if you've been in the pack, that is a significant expense right there. Obviously, all the awards and recognitions, den supplies, Blue and Gold banquet, these are some of the big items that this fee is going to cover that you're going to benefit and your scout's going to benefit from immediately. Now, 360 is a lot. I understand that. I don't expect everybody to be able to drop a $360 check right off the bat. Some will, some won't, and that's fine. If you're going to pay the full amount, we need to get that paid up by September 30th. And the reason I put September 30th is because that's when we start laying out our fees and our commitments for the year. Otherwise, something we've tried in the past and now is going to be actually a lot easier for us to manage is a monthly payment system. This is now live on the website where we can go in and take care of this. For anybody that wants to try the monthly payment option, there is a $105 initial payment due September 1st. Okay, this is your deposit on the monthly payment option. For the first year after that, the following month, it's going to be $25 a month, automatically paid for month after month till next year. Next year, at that renewal time, once you start this payment, that changes to $30 a month. There's no longer an extra $100 fee due or anything like that. If you're returning, it just goes up to $30 until your scout is out of Cub Scouts. Again, makes things a lot easier and cleaner for you, the parent, because this is still significantly less than a lot of other events out there. There is a 3% credit card fee that's attached to that transaction. That's the processing fee that we don't have any control over adjusting. And all we ask is that once you start this, please follow it through for that full 12 months. Because again, typically by the time we hit October, even into November, we've committed to your expenses for the entire year. Now, somebody asked about fundraising. Okay, if you are going to take advantage of fundraising, which is still going to be offered, you can do that, and we'll put a pause on the automatic payments on the credit card. Okay, there won't be any need to take anything out if that's already getting paid for. If you're going to do any fundraising, our first one is the popcorn fundraiser. Typically by December, we'll have that reconciled and funds set up that you'll be able to utilize for that. Like I said, fundraising does not go away. We heard the cries. We are eliminating any pressure on it, but we are still going to have it there. Number one reason is because popcorn and the camp card fundraisers are required for us by the Central Florida Council so that we maintain this blue ribbon status. Now, this blue ribbon status gives us a few perks through the council. Uh, Ribbons are cool, patches are cool, but it also gives us a break on some of the awards that we have to purchase every year. Okay. Christmas wreaths. We're still going to do the Christmas wreaths. They're going to be online only. Okay. You'll have a link, be it your friends, family that are local or out of state can all purchase them. They will be delivered directly there. We're not going to coordinate pickups, drop-offs, anything like that this year. That's going to be done only through the website. Popcorn and camp cards, we're still going to do, but they are completely optional. Now, we have a minimum ask that all scouts do $200 in sales over the entire year. You can do like a couple bags of popcorn, a couple camp cards, however you want to mix it up. The reason we ask that is not so much for the funds. Now, this does give them about $50 in Cub Bucks into their Scout account. But the real reason is so that they start building up those communication skills when they're out there in public. And those skills are some of the most important ones they'll ever learn. They get to be friendly, they get to be out there. It's a good recruiting tool for the program, but it's good for your scout to be seen out there and starting to develop those skills of approaching people that they don't know and communicating and talking and being a friendly scout. That's what it's all about. We don't ever want to be a program where we're just known for selling, selling, selling. And I want to take the stress off the staff, off the staff, off the volunteers, off the leaders, and having to make sure we fundraise so we can pay for everything. But I also want to take it off the parents and having to find time in their schedules to spend a couple hours at a storefront. It's always still available to you. Okay. Now, if you do any of the fundraising, the awards, the prizes, they're still there. They're still offered. Those don't go away. So if you hit, $1,000 in sales in popcorn, your scout gets the camp card, Amazon gift card, or they get the Andretti racing experience, or whatever the prize structure is this year. They still get to take advantage of that. That does not go away. They still get the cool popcorn patch if they want it. Again, no pressure to participate. We ask that you do because that, again, it's going to help out your scout. Can still be used to pay for dues. Okay. At the end of a fundraiser, once everything is reconciled, we actually take a percentage of that. We create these Cub Bucks, goes into your account in Troop Track, and those Cub Bucks can be used for any scouting related fee. It can be used for camping. It can be used for an outing at the Science Center when we take a trip there. It can be used to buy a walking stick at Lenoche if they want to. So long as it's a scouting related activity or item, it will be covered with those Scout Bucks that they have in their account. Okay. And again, this is all completely parent led. We're not going to be up there doing a big hoorah rah at popcorn. We're not going to do it for the wreaths. We're not going to do it for camp cards. This is completely optional for everybody. But again, I'm going to ask that everybody does participate. And again, if you want to use that as your primary source to cover your dues and annual fees, by all means, you still can. Now, any of the funds that we do get from fundraising, anything that does go to the PAC for that, we're actually going to set aside and potentially use for a big activity next year. So over the summer, we may come up with a big activity that the scouts do depending on how much fundraising we do. So if we get a couple $1,000s extra into the account, now we've got something extra we can offer the kids. Maybe we take everybody to Kennedy Space Center. Maybe we go on a special kayaking trip. Who knows? It'll remain to be seen, and obviously we won't know until everything's been done and reconciled. But that'll be something extra that we can now add into the program. Now, I know that's a lot of information. I am certain you have some questions and some concerns. All of our leadership has been working diligently on this for months, trying to work out these details. There's still some logistical hurdles that we have to overcome and how things transfer and when they do. But please, please, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to sit and talk and work through any individual situations as needed. You have our contact information. I appreciate all of you and look forward to seeing you all at our next couple meetings. Thanks and have a great rest of your week.